Good family. Welcome back to another episode of the Listen Man Show. You know, the show that's for fans by a fan. Man, I'm so happy that we're moving along. We're already on episode 19. Can you believe it? Well, thank you as always. Make sure, as I always say, that you hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe, ring the bell, follow, like, do all of those things. But make sure out of all of them you share. Make sure that you share and you share and you share some more. And then tell your friends to share as well. Let's make the fans' voice the biggest voice that's out there. We got a great show today talking about competition. How do you feel about it? But we're going to look at it a little bit different in the Listen Man way. So without any further ado, you know, let's go. Hey, welcome back. Again, it's the Listen Man Show. I'm your host, Kevin, aka Kevy Kev, aka Big Kev, aka you can call me whatever you want to as long as it sounds cool and it starts with a K. Listen, we're on episode 19, and I was thinking about the playoffs. I was thinking about the WNBA starting. We got baseball going. We got football OTA starting. And in my mind, I just kept thinking, man, as a fan, it could literally be like competition overload as we're thinking about so many things that are coming up and happening in sports, right? So the light bulb went off. Let's talk about competition. After all, if you remember my intro to this whole show, I said we were going to look at how sports and life are intertwined, how they work together, how one affects the other. So let's take a look at competition. This is going to be a new series called the Competitive Series. And we'll look at it from different leagues and different aspects. So today, because we're in the NBA playoffs, we're down to the final four teams. Let's talk the competition in the NBA. Let's discuss whether or not we feel the NBA is competitive. Now, as fans, let's just define competition, right? We love competition. That's part of the reason that makes us fans. We love seeing the best against the best. We hope that the team or the person that we're rooting for prevails in some miraculous way. Now, we love to see our team win maybe in blowouts, but when it's close and there's a miraculous play, man, it just creates pandemonium in our mind, in our hearts, in our bodies, and it just creates even more need for that competition as fans. So for a second, think of a second. How many Hail Marys have you seen?
6 seconds. Murray heaves it downfield. It is caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins.
How many last-minute scores or field goals have you seen?
Upstairs, Ben to the corner of the end zone. Does he get both feet down? Left, definitely. Did the right.
How many buzzer beaters have you seen?
He looks, he gives to Jordan. Jordan to the circle, puts the shot in the air. Good! The game's over, and the Bulls have won.
How many walk-off home runs have you seen?
Ortiz into deep right field. Back is Sheffield. We'll see you later tonight.
Or how about photo finishes?
Well, let's have a look at the video.
Uh-oh, boys.
Busher is ahead. Larson is coming. It's like the Kentucky Derby.
Oh,
It's
my
that
God.
close. It's Larson.
Oh.
How many of those have you seen in your life as a sports fan? So whether you're on the good side of it or the bad side of it, we relish those games or those moments because it's the competitive nature that's in them. Oftentimes when they come down to moments like that, if our team loses, sometimes we even say we're not even mad about it. It was a good game. Now for the NBA, it's something interesting, isn't it? Because it seems like it's split down the middle for so many people. Some feel that the NBA is as competitive as it's ever been, while then the other half of NBA fans say that it's far from its most competitive state. So let's look at briefly what drives these two different beliefs. Here's a few reasons that I thought of that to me drives the wedge between NBA fans. Now, this show, as I mentioned before, is going to be positive. I want to get back to being a positive podcast like I wanted to start. So I'm not going to give you my opinion or my thoughts. I'm just going to give you the differences. I want to hear from you. You tell me what you think about it and how you feel, and then we can discuss it in the comments or we can discuss it on a later show. So the very first thing that I feel is a determining factor as to whether or not you feel that the NBA is competitive or is not competitive is the age, right? So depending on when you were born will determine your thoughts on the current NBA compared to the past NBA. So let's just say if you were born in 95 or before, you're probably one of the people on the side that feels that the NBA today is not as competitive as it once was. But if you were born, say, 99, 2000 to now, you're probably one of the people who feel that the NBA is the most competitive that it's ever been. In both cases, it's the age, right? If you're older, you have something to gauge it by. You maybe have seen the NBA in the 70s. Maybe you've seen it in the 80s with the Larry and Bird. Maybe saw it in the 90s in the Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Dream Team era, right? And so now you have something to compare it to today. Whereas if you were born in the 2000s, all you really have is in comparison to the NBA today. So for those that are a little older, I'm going to urge you to maybe look at some of the things we talk about today and see if that can help change your mind about the competitive nature. If not, again, leave comments and let me know. If you're younger, let's say you're 25 and under, I'm going to urge you to maybe go to YouTube and look at some of those games from the past, watch full games, and see why maybe some of the older guys, older folks talk about the past NBA being more competitive. Maybe we can all kind of meet in the middle. Now, the second reason why I feel like there's this big rift when it comes to the competitive nature of the NBA is the rules. Many people feel that the rules of the past and the many changes over the last few years, right, that affects how people view the competitive nature of the NBA. For those that come from my era, a little older, the 90s or whatever, hand checking was allowed. Teams didn't use zone the way that they do now. There was no load management. And even how players came into the league is different. Back then, there were very few that left straight from high school to come to the league. So most played 2, 3, sometimes even 4, like the Tim Duncans of the world. So when they came into the league, they were ready to go. Whereas now you go to college for 1 year, or you could play overseas or in the G League for 1 year, and then you can be drafted straight into the NBA. So the rule changes has driven a wedge as to why some people feel that the NBA is competitive, while others feel like it's not. So looking at the rules can help determine whether or not you feel like it's more competitive or less competitive. Again, that's going to be for you to decide. I want to hear from you as to what you think about it. Has it helped the NBA become competitive or not? How about number 3, the style of play? With the change of the players, right? We have what's called positionless players. Now there's more three-pointers being shot in one season, in my mind, than probably a few seasons of the 80s and 90s where they didn't really shoot threes the way that they do now. In fact, I did a little research. On average, NBA teams today shoot 35.1 three-pointers a game. So if you do the math, based on the season, you're looking at over 3,000 three-pointers are shot in an NBA season. Now, you can imagine in the 80s and 90s that not happening as much because most teams maybe had 1, maybe 2 players that actually could shoot three-pointers. Nowadays, there's no fast breaks. Fast break turns into three-pointers. They'll pass up a layup, shoot a 3. So the style of play is different. Players may not be focused on back to the basket or footwork because the pace is a lot faster. So again, many people look at that and say that that makes it more competitive because it is positionless, because it is a faster pace. Whereas others may say, no, it really isn't, because the style of play just is chucking up 3-pointers. Again, I'll leave that for you to decide. It's not for me. We're just talking about reasons why some may feel one way or the other. Now, the fourth one is a really, really interesting one, and that's the social media effect. That's what I like to call it. Now, many young people that I talk to, and I have the privilege of being around a lot of young guys that play, a lot of young guys that are in college that are playing, and we get a chance to really talk, because I'm old enough to remember the golden era to a degree, but I'm also still young enough to kind of understand how a lot of the young players feel. So one of the things that I often get is, when we played, or when our parents played, or those that were a little older, they didn't have to deal with the social media effect. Having social media follow your every move, watching what you're wearing, mistakes that you may make. Basically, people have access to your life 24/7. To be able to do that and still make it and play in the NBA despite that pressure leads a lot of younger people to feel that the NBA is more competitive today, because players from the 90s and early 2000s didn't have to worry about social media. You didn't have to worry about people peeling into your life, seeing where you are, what you're doing, and then being able to critique your game after it, to say that's the reason why maybe you had a bad shooting night. So younger players feel that way. Older players sometimes may feel that social media effect hinders the competitive nature of the NBA. Oftentimes, players my age and older maybe feel that because social media helps these players make so much money, that their focus has shifted away from working on their skills, working on their game, to being more about their post, what they're wearing, where they're at, who they're with. And even now, we can throw podcasts in there, can't we? When we look at certain players that have podcasts that are still in the league, oftentimes after a game, they're breaking down other NBA games or things that happened in that game to themselves or others. So again, older players, older fans may feel that these things are a distraction, whereas instead of breaking down film for your team and to better your skill, you're more worried about the social media aspect of it, or getting your own show or your own feeds off the ground. So what side is right? Again, this show is highlighting the competitive nature, how we love competition as fans. So these are 4 things that I just thought about that made me wonder about the NBA, as to why the NBA, more than most leagues, is split down the middle about debates of whether or not the league is competitive or if it's not. So based on those things, you tell me, do you feel that those 4 things have affected whether or not the NBA is competitive, or is it not? I really want to hear from you. Leave some comments for me, please. Let me know. You can tag me in them if you want to, and let's have a discussion. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Again, this is just something that I was thinking about as I'm watching the NBA playoffs. So thanks for your time. As always, I appreciate you taking time to rock with your boy. If you notice, I'm trying to do these shows in a way that's, getting them through, getting them a little faster, and hope to keep your attention a little bit longer. So as I always say, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll look forward to another fantastic show, as we have some amazing things coming up as well. So make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you like, subscribe, make sure that you follow, make sure that you share. And more importantly, folks, man, be happy, smile, stay positive, keep good people around you. If you have good people around you, then things will go good for you always, because you never have to question why they're there. They're there for you. I'm here for you as well. Anytime you need me, go to YouTube, catch up on some of these shows, and man, we'll have a good time. So I hope you have a great day. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Again, it's the Listen Man Show, the show that's for fans, by a fan. Please help me make the fan's voice the loudest voice that's out there. Let's go.